Here's how to create your own higher timeline and escape from the controller's timeline of fear. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean. In my last video right here, I explained all about the controller's current timeline for us and what their endgame is for us on this planet. And in this video, which is part 2, I'm going to show you how to take control of the timeline that you're on and create your own trajectory of evolution. Here is the most important thing to realize. There is absolutely no benefit in waiting around for the controllers to continue their march toward a greater hell than what they have already put us through. Their plans are well underway, and I think they have shown us in the past year how effective they are at turning things completely upside down. And I also want to caution you not to sit back and assume that benevolent extraterrestrials are handling all of this for us in outer space. I don't think it's worth gambling with your own destiny to leave timelines up to invisible entities that you don't see and only heard about on the internet. If it's true that they're helping us, well, then that's great. And we will find out soon enough. But for now, we really can't afford to sit back and take that kind of risk. I think that things have gone far enough that we need to understand that we need a different strategy for ourselves on this planet. The signs are all there that the controllers want to take their world of insanity and expand it into space. And this is actually part of the development of their AI takeover. So the most important thing for us to realize right now is that it is not wise to allow the controllers to condition us to accept their landscape of how they say space is going to look or is supposed to look. See, we are at a significant crossroads in humanity. We are definitely going to be moving into interplanetary space, and maybe even with a very bad attempt to enter our wider galactic neighborhood run by the crazy controllers of this planet. So I think it's time to get off this boat right now. So it's time that we get fully engaged as individuals with our own plans for our own timelines designed by us. Start by understanding the bigger picture and keep it simple. The bigger picture that we need to address right now is the fact that the controller's plan is to create a totalitarian planetary government that is run by AI. This represents the final stage of an AI takeover. And then they want to expand their presence into the solar system and beyond, bringing all of their treachery with them. And they want to continue to hold on to us as slaves throughout this entire process. See, we have a breakaway moment that is here before us right now. We have to stop thinking that we can somehow evolve inside of this totalitarian system that is taking over, because they're not going to allow us to do that. But they will succeed in preventing it if we remain passive and waiting. So the question is, do you want them to succeed in their plan when it comes to yourself? I mean, I'm sure that you don't. So step 1 is to decide that you will not assign authority to military forces to tell you what is happening in the cosmos. That absolutely has to stop. I've said this before, you guys. These people are crazy. I mean, sometimes they remind me of like toddlers with nuclear weapons. The controllers are all about war and enemies. And that is not the mindset we need if we want to enter a higher, more civilized society in this galaxy. So where we need to start is by expanding our context for our evolution. Evolving from an earth-based context alone is just not viable anymore. See, mind-controlled slaves cannot evolve, and AI-controlled humans have no chance of evolving for who knows how long, maybe eons. So here's what I suggest you do. Now, this is going to sound like an imaginary exercise, but I want you to consider it as being real. Because see, our imagination is the starting point of where we need to center ourselves in order to begin to create. That's why we have an imagination. We don't have an imagination because it's like, oh, well, that's not real. That's just imaginary. No, imagination is the primary center from which you envision that which you want to create. So the first thing you need to do is to break the programming that Earth is the only intelligent life in the universe. Now, even if you don't believe that that's true, it's important to understand that even if we know there's more life in the universe, we're still programmed to live as though there is no other intelligent life. And that's how we live our daily lives. We don't live our daily lives as though there's intelligent life in the universe. So we are very deeply programmed with a belief that there is no intelligent life because we do not behave as though there is. Now, it's important to understand that the controllers are going to portray any sort of extraterrestrial intelligent life as a threat. I mean, they have to. It's the only way they can stay in power. So breaking free of this planetary prison is an exercise in evolving your consciousness. Now let's talk about the law of attraction at a galactic level. Whatever your consciousness and your energy vibrates to is going to determine your reality. Now, right now, we are submerged in a planetary energy that is toxic and vibrates at the extremely low frequencies of fear, survival, and confusion. We are submerged in a collective darkness of unconsciousness. Now, you are going to have a very difficult time raising your vibration and your consciousness in this sea of misery, because slavery is misery, in the sea of misery that surrounds our planet. Now, you can raise it to a point, but there will be limits as long as you view Earth as your primary touchstone of reality. Now, I'm going to propose something. I'm going to propose that you already know the attributes of a civilized, high vibrational, interplanetary society in this universe. And there are many, many of those societies. So I want to suggest that you release your attachment to this planet and tap into your inner wisdom. And then you can sit down and make a list of all of the attributes of consciousness that would be present in a highly evolved society anywhere in this universe. You can journal about it. You can write it down. And this is going to start to show you how much you actually know and remember. Now, why would I say release your attachment to this planet? Well, there's a very good reason. Because unless you do that, here's what's going to happen. You're going to try to discover what those attributes are of these interplanetary, highly evolved civilizations or societies. You're going to be trying to discover that, but guess what's going to happen? You're going to be trying to discover it through the filter of everything going on this planet. Because this planet exists as our current primary reality. So if you are very attached to this reality, it's going to become a filter that will dramatically impede your ability to know and tune into the actual wisdom that you have about how life is in the broader expanse of this universe. And that's why I said earlier that it's really important to get yourself deprogrammed from the belief that we are the only intelligent life in the cosmos, because that is literally impeding our ability to evolve. So I'm not saying leave the planet. I'm not saying hate the planet. I'm not saying forget about the planet. I'm just saying release your attachment to it. Because once you release your attachment to this planet, you're going to experience a tremendous freedom within yourself. See, the only reason that we get so attached to this planet Earth is because of that programming. It's because of the programming that there's no other life out there. They did this to us on purpose, you guys. They did it so that we would be so attached to this planet that we would never be able to know anything else. Let me just mention one other reason that I'm speaking so strongly about releasing your attachment to the Earth. If you try to do this exercise and you don't release your attachment, here's where you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck in framing everything according to what's happening on planet Earth. And you're going to start thinking, oh man, there's so many problems here. Like, okay, so a highly evolved society, how are we going to fix all our problems here so we can evolve to a better planet Earth? And you're just going to get so caught in this morass of issues, okay? And I want you to try this exercise without any of that junk going on, so that you're really free to tap into something that you actually already know about, but you're just unconscious of. So Earth is not a model for your evolving, expanding consciousness. Now that might be a little hard to take at first, but honestly, what do you see here that you want to model yourself after? See, we need to be thinking about what our goal is in terms of setting ourselves on a much higher timeline. We need to shift from thinking of timelines as being only related to this one tiny planet Earth. We need to create a timeline that will elevate us to be a match to a higher, more advanced consciousness in this universe. We need to model ourselves individually after a more evolved civilization. That is the only way that we can get our vibration and our consciousness to the necessary level of a much higher timeline. Our consciousness and our energy needs to vibrate in sync with a much more benevolent cosmic society. You know, here's something else interesting that I want to share with you guys. One of the beings that I channel, John of Telstar, told me a few years ago that this planet is one of the most violent planets that they have ever seen. And believe me, they have seen a lot throughout this universe. So it's time to tap into your inner wisdom, which includes vision, and bring into consciousness what you want to model yourself after. What is the goal of the timeline that you want to be on? What kind of consciousness, what kind of civilization do you want to be in resonance with? See, that's why I said let's talk about the law of attraction at a galactic level, because we have got to expand our consciousness to something way beyond this little planet that has so many serious problems. See, some of us on this planet have got to do this, you guys, because if no one does this, then everybody's just kind of trapped. And every time we raise our own vibration, we raise our own frequency, we expand our own consciousness at the levels that I'm talking about, that's the only thing that's going to lift the energy of this earth. But we can't do it by being attached to the earth, by being submerged in the energy here and believing that this is all that we have available to us. Now, one more thing I want to recommend, and this is what it is. I don't recommend that you go to the internet to find out about advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. And here is why. First of all, the internet is highly controlled in ways that you don't even realize. It is loaded with mind control and disinformation and even a whole lot of food for fantasizing. So here's what you need to know instead. Your inner wisdom about this universe is actually so expansive and so advanced when you tap into it that it actually makes the internet look like a piece of junk by comparison. And compared to more highly advanced technologies that are in perfect harmony with nature and the universe, the internet is just some weird mind control contraption that was actually invented by some not so intelligent, unevolved entities. So I'm not saying don't use the internet. I mean, we have to use the internet. I mean, that's perfectly fine to go ahead and use it. Just don't lose perspective on how controlling and limiting it actually is. See, the controllers and AI do not want us to remember how powerful, how profound, and how intelligent we actually are, because we are infinite creators. I mean, just because we have these limited physical finite human bodies at the moment in no way changes the fact that we are profoundly intelligent when we tap into our true selves. Do you realize that in your higher mind, you actually have access to this entire universe? I mean, the internet can't do that for you, can it? So basically what we're trying to do to create our own higher timeline is to, as I said, first release your attachment to the earth and all of its problems and this whole entire mess. And then look within you and see if you can discover your actual knowledge of what the attributes of consciousness and energy and vibration are of a much higher, more civilized, more advanced, interplanetary, intergalactic, interuniversal, well, let's keep it to intergalactic for now, civilization. And then once you tap into that awareness, that means that you actually have an opportunity to intend that as your higher timeline, to say, I want to come into resonance with that type of civilization. And then using your intelligence, using your natural common cosmic sense, as I've said so many times, your natural inner wisdom, start to examine, and I really encourage you to write this down and journal about it. Start to examine what are the attributes of consciousness that would need to be present within me in order to integrate into such a higher, more advanced level of society. Society at a more galactic level. And then what you can do on a very practical level is begin to cultivate those very attributes within yourself right now, to begin to cultivate your energy and nurture your vibration into what you feel intuitively would be a match to that type of civilization. Guys, this is real. I know I said this is kind of like an imaginary thing, but it's not imaginary. This is real. This is how you can actually start to take command of the timeline, the evolutionary timeline that you put yourself on, because you're actually using the law of attraction at a much more expanded level. See, there is no way that any of us can be a part of a more advanced, more evolved civilization in this universe unless we vibrationally and on a level of consciousness are able to integrate with such a civilization. There's no way unless we do that. And what I want to share with you now that is so exciting, if you really get this is available right now. You don't have to, gosh, guys, we don't have to wait until this planet solves all of its problems. I think this is a big mistake that we tend to make. A huge mistake. We limit ourselves, we shackle ourselves and our consciousness to Earth and its problems, and we say, unless these problems are all solved on this planet, we're stuck. We can never evolve to a higher level of consciousness that is a match to those incredible, more advanced, more evolved civilizations that are so much more benevolent and beautiful and loving and creative. The only reason we think like that is because we've been programmed to think like that. That's not reality, you guys. Those civilizations are out there right now. They are absolutely real. And we do not have to live anymore by this programming that planet Earth is all there is. So I want to encourage you to not think that Earth and all of its issues has to act as a filter to your ability to evolve, to intend, and to create the timeline of your choice. You do not have to attach your timeline to this planet's problems. And ironically, that's really the only way you can really serve this planet. Because see, it's funny because I'm saying all this stuff about don't be attached to planet Earth, right? But when you do everything that I'm talking about, you're actually helping the Earth because you are on this planet. You are physically incarnate on this planet. And you're raising your consciousness to a level that surpasses the problems of this planet. How can that not be a good thing energetically for everything going on here? And think about how empowering this is. It is so empowering because you just transmute all of that negative energy that we're kind of steeped in terms of Earth's problems. You become like this radiant force of light that is a transmutational force, so that you could actually get to a point where that energy doesn't even affect you anymore. So I hope you find this idea very, very exciting and inspiring. And if so, please give this video a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else that you want to share this awesome inspiration with. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you loads of love, light, and high vibrational, inspiring energy. And I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.